Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. We're not the only one you need. You are. We just show you how to get out of your own way. With your host, speaker, author, business coach, and consultant, David Dubé.
Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. It's your host, David Dubé. So excited to have you here with me today. In this episode, my friend, you and I are going to be talking about why relationships fail. Why relationships fail. This is hugely important, and yet something that I know in school I never learned about. It wasn't until after school and falling on my face many times that I figured things out. But that being said, most people still have no clue why their relationships fail them, or why, conversely, why they fail their relationships. Very interesting topic, I do have to say. And so in this, the first part here, I want to read to you what Psychology Today says is the top 10 reasons. Now, as I read these to you, I want you to understand that these are systemic issues. These aren't the core issue at hand. But this is going to hopefully open your eyes and ears to the real reason to why relationships fail. So I'm going to read the top 10 that they say, and then I'm going to dive in and give you the actual causation or reasoning for it. Is that fair? I hope that's fair. And even before I read that, I wish to know what you believe is the number one reason relationships fail. I would love to hear what you think is the number one reason why relationships fail, even before going over these top 10 reasons here of why Psychology Today says relationships fail. So I can't get that unless you post it somewhere, whether it's on my Facebook page or Instagram, whatever. You can find me so easily. Type in Only One You Need. I'm pretty much all that comes up. Anyway, going forward here, let's do Psychology Today. This is from July 12th, 2015. All right, so number 10 is money issues. Number 9 is growing apart. Number 8 is habit abuse, life habit abuse. 7 is relational abuse. 6 is narcissism. 5 is communication issues. 4 is compatibility issues. 3 is moving through life at different speeds. Number 2 is different expectations. And the number 1 is trust issues. Okay, so this is what Psychology Today states are the top 10 reasons. And this is, like I said, back in July 12th, 2015. Yes, all of these are correct, you could say. Absolutely. But they're not the core of the whole thing. Like, they're all systemic issues that stem from the core of the real reason. And that's what I want to get to. What is the real core to the reason? You'd think that Psychology Today would talk about that. But no, we will give you ancillary excuses to why relationships fail. Now, I want to talk about how relationships are first built. I think that's fairly important to this whole process of understanding of why they fail. Is how are they built? So they're built, and this is, I'm going to use the example of a male and female courting each other. And in the beginning, respect is high and trust is low. They trust you enough to go out with you, but they don't trust you implicitly yet. It's not 100% there. And so, like I said, the respect is high. So in the beginning, you want to do what you think the other person wants you to do. So as a guy, you might open the door, you might pay for the meal, you might drive, what have you. And so in the beginning, that's how the courting begins, right? You want to say the right things, you want to do the right things. But after months and months of being together, so 6 months in, now you're together with them, and let's just say they're trying to get into your car. Or conversely, you're trying to get into their car. And as you go to open the door, they lock the door on you. And then you tap on the window and you're, haha, that's funny, now let me in. So they unlock the door, but before you can open it again, they lock it again. You know what I'm talking about? So you trust them implicitly, but that respect factor is not there anymore. I mean, it's there. It's just not as high as it was before you got in a relationship with them, right? They can do these things. They can play these games. Why? Well, because they have your trust. They already know you trust them. Now, relationships sometimes happen quickly where you meet someone and then boom, it's like there's instant chemistry, instant trust, and you're moving all along quickly. And that happens as well. It's just that same process in a condensed format. You like got the pleasantries out of the way really quickly so you could move to the meat and potatoes of the relationship. This happens. So why then do relationships fail? Good question. And the reason is if you take a moment to look in a mirror, you'll see the reason. You'll see the reason right there, right in front of you, if you look in a mirror. It's you. And you're like, well, I'm not the one who cheated. You're right. You might not have been the one that cheated. That's great. You might not be the one who lied. You might not be the one who did all the negative things. But you are a part of the whole. You're a part of the whole. It takes you to be in the relationship to either notice the signs or not notice the signs, to communicate or to not communicate, to ignore or to not ignore. You had all that going on for you, and you either participated in the lie, lied to yourself about it, and didn't want to believe it. Right? It's you. You are at the heart of this. Your relationship is a reflection of who you are as an individual. You see, in the beginning, it's crazy. Oftentimes in the beginning, we're better at communication than later on. Later on, we hide things or we skirt things. And then it takes a while, and then boom, there's an outburst, and then communication can happen. And maybe some things are fixed, but maybe they're kind of just shuffled about. But it's crazy how often we lie to ourselves. See, this is a big part of it. It comes down to communication. It comes down to knowing you. If you don't know you and your relationship falls apart, you need to know you better. Because when you know who you are, you can live up to your standards. And then when you have those standards, you can get someone who has those standards to come into your life. And then it's so crazy to me that we don't understand ourselves. And then what happens is the signs are apparent, but we ignore the signs. We decide to ignore the signs. This isn't good. This isn't bad. But we ignore what's going on. Now, if it's abuse that's going on, it's because you don't respect yourself enough to stand up for who you are, because once again, you don't know who you are. If you knew who you are, you wouldn't be in an abusive relationship. It's that simple. It's cut and dry. But the irony of the whole thing is we want to find a scapegoat for our issues. We want to blame other people because we don't want to take responsibility for who we are and our inadequacies. We all have them. We're all a part of that. It's time that you were honest with yourself and say, you know what, David, I just don't know myself that well. That's why my relationship failed. Now that I'm in a better place, I can get to know who I am. You see, the whole purpose to Only One You Need Radio isn't because I know everything. It's not about that. I'm a reflection of you. I'm here to reflect what you already know back upon you. And when you hear these words and they ring true for you, you go, aha, I knew that, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. You do know this stuff. I'm not sharing stuff that is outside of you. It's a realization process. That's what life is. If you're listening to this and you're this far in, you've realized that. Now, if you don't believe me, that's fine. You don't have to. When I talk to anyone about relationships or jobs, I ask them, what is it that you really want? Define what you really want. Because if you never do, then you'll never get it. What are you aiming for? If you don't have a direction, you're aimless. Then anything can come into your life, take advantage of you, because you allow it to. Your relationship failed because you failed you, not because they failed you. It's time that we grow the fuck up, is really what it comes down to. Just grow up. Be responsible. It blows my mind how inadequate we tend to lead our lives. So if you want a job or you want a relationship, why not do stuff to make people want you instead of you trying to seek out what it is that you want all the time? See, we seek out because we feel it's separate from ourselves. It's not. Nothing and no one is separate from you. You attract what you are to you. You see, they often say opposites attract. This is not true. Here's the deal. The reason why this happens, and these are typically the worst relationships, is because you don't know yourself, and so you act out in certain ways. That person that you've attracted also acts out in certain ways that's attractive to you. You're both malfunctioned in a way. Now, you work perfectly fine. There's nothing actually wrong with you, but you haven't figured you out yet. And because you haven't figured you out yet, you attract people who haven't figured themselves out yet. And you say, we are complete opposites, but we fulfill each other. And yet they're abusive relationships in some form or fashion. But what happens is you're both abusing each other and being abused by each other, and that works your relationship. That's how your relationship works out, and you feel like you're whole. But when one person out of those two fixes themselves and becomes whole themselves, the relationship breaks. And when that relationship breaks, then they feel like their entire lives has been yanked from under them. And they're angry and they're mad and sad and super emotional, riding this roller coaster of up and down, possibly even talking about committing suicide or making threats. It's because they don't know themselves. They need someone to feed into their abusive habits that they have. See, until you yourself are whole, none of your relationships will be whole. And it's crazy to think that. In many ways, it doesn't rationally make sense, but when you understand it, it totally makes sense. See, only when your cup runneth over can you fill another person's cup. But what we often do is our cup is filled a quarter of the way. And then we want to pour some of that in other people's cup. And then we have what left? We have nothing left. This is why people get taken advantage of, especially those who are caretakers, getting taken advantage of so often, so much, and constantly drained emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in so many ways. It's because they don't understand how to fill their own cup before they fill someone else's. When you can fill your cup, you will attract what you need in your life. It will come to you. It will find you. That one thing, that one person will come to you and be attracted to you because you exude all of those things, because your cup runneth over. Until then, you're going to run into these 10 issues: money issues, growing apart, life habit abuse, relational abuse, narcissism, communication issues, compatibility issues, moving through life at different speeds, different expectations, and trust issues. You're going to run into those 10 issues, plus I'm sure 10 more, because you don't know who you are. You're not allowing you to be fully who you are. And you're always going to be searching and seeking for those things to help fill your cup when you can't even figure out how to fill your own. See, life is a lesson and time is the teacher. Isn't it about time you figured this out? Know who you are. Figure you out. Do that. And you will finally attract the person that you want in your life. It's that simple. For the longest time, I've not sought out a partner. They seek me out. They're attracted to me. And when the moment's right, we come together. That's how it should be. You don't need these dating apps and Tinder and all that crap to get what you want. Be who you want, and what you want will come to you. That's what this is about. If you want the greatest relationship ever, be the person you were meant to be. Believe in all that you're capable of and become more than you thought imaginable. It's that. I mean, it sounds simple, and yes, it's not as simple as it sounds. Yes, it takes work. But you're going to put work towards anything anyway. Why not figure you out? Then the relationships you have will be simple. Don't you, think about it. You meet someone and instantaneously there's that chemistry and things work and you go in the right direction. You don't have to think about it. And then it's too late. It works out because you worked you out. Don't wait any longer. If you think that this was a good show, share this out. If you think more people need to hear this message, share this with them. Go rate me on iTunes. I would appreciate that. If you believe that this is as good as I hope it is, then tell other people about this. Share this out with other people. I would greatly appreciate it. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. Find me on the socials. Tell me what you would like to hear. It's Dave Dubé with Only One You Need Radio. I appreciate you so very much. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to our next conversation. Take care.